you have time, baby?
Yeah, I'll keep telling you where it is.
So?
Well, we're heading on a road trip to California. Gonna go I'd like to meet her folks and everything, so hopefully we'll be able to get a couple of plants while we're there too, increase our holdings. So we'll just see how it goes. We're driving through Flagstaff now. Real pretty, there's finally more trees. Proving Grounds, Arizona. Some type of bush that I seen blooming from the highway. I wanted to see if it had any seeds on it. I mean, it's definitely some type of desert cactus type of thing, but
Oh shit, yeah.
looks like it's still just blooming. It hadn't even opened all the way up yet. Now we made it to California. It's kind of in between Modesto and Fresno is where we're at, I think. It's real beautiful around here. They got a lot of really interesting plants that I think we can get some of them to take back on the farm. So we'll go around today and hopefully get some cuttings and seeds and see what we can come up with. Here's a looks like wild patch of fig trees growing here. Kind of an interesting growth habit. Almost looks like a mangrove patch. But here in the parking lot, it looks like we might be able to find some ripe seed pods. These haven't quite fully developed into seeds yet. The view is really picturesque here on the Martinelli family ranch. We're going to take a walk downtown Knights Ferry and see what kind of specimens we can find. Already I'm noticing there's a lot of western sycamore, which is something we don't have. So I'll see if I can find some seeds for that. Here we got a really old dry stacked wall that's made with granite river rock, which I've never seen a dry stacked wall made with round stone. That's pretty cool. You can see here there's no mortar in between the joints. Just used other little round rocks. That's amazing. Apparently when it was originally built, put these beams into it and put barbed wire across it. Here's an interesting old technique, capping off a post with a piece of wood, act like a shingle. See, they did it here too. California poppies are in bloom right now, but unfortunately they don't have any seed on them. That's okay. This is the Mexican elderberry. We don't have that. As you can see, it grows to a shrub or a small tree like 20 or 30 foot in height. I'd like to get some samples of this. Here's the eucalyptus tree. It's non-native, invasive to this area. Amazing how tall it gets. And too bad it's not cold hardy. We can't grow it back in Oklahoma. This is an interesting member of the gourd family. I'll have to look that up to identify it. Here's the picturesque Stanislaus River here. This is a pretty substantial dry stacked wall right here. I can't tell whether it's granite or sandstone. They've got granite, sandstone, and limestone around here that I've seen, and basalt.
It's like one that's all over along the river.
Is this a type of willow right here? Sure is, huh?
Oh,
Yeah, we're gonna get some cuttings from this. This is one of the 6 types of willows that grows around here. We'll try to see how many of them we can find. Cannot tell what this is. Oh, it's not a type of willow. It looks like some type of buckeye. I do not know if that'll grow where we're going. Here's another buckeye tree. Yeah, it is. It is another willow. We'll get up close and look at it and see if it's the same type as what we just collected. It looks to me like we've got two different types of willows here. Hopefully, it's not just a difference in sex or something. This one looks real shiny. This one's real dull. Smaller leaves. I think that's two different types there. This is a pretty plant. I actually think it's some type of lupin, but I could be wrong. Here we have what could be another willow. The leaves look like willow leaves. There's no flowers on it just yet this time of year. Got a field full of vetch.
Hey.
Today we're in Knight's Ferry. Right now we're on the ranch that my wife grew up on. This is the little small town that she grew up in, and it's quite a different climate. It doesn't get as cold here and doesn't rain as much here as it does in Oklahoma, but I've looked up quite a bit about the native plants and the stuff that we've seen in the area as driving around, and there's a few of them that'll grow on the farm. So today we're going to go out and try to get some more specimens. So far we've got hopefully at least 3 types of willows. I'd like to get some elderberries today, and we'll see what else we can find. The oak trees around here are quite a bit different than the oak trees we have back in Oklahoma. Some of these I think are actually evergreen oaks, like live oak. But here underneath the tree, we got a bunch of stinging nettle that's growing. And most people you would think would not want this growing on their property because it does have pretty painful stings. But it's actually a really potent medicine, and it's really great for the compost pile. So I'm going to see if I can dig up a couple shoots of this. Even though it is quite a different climate, I'm still surprised at the similarity of some of the trees here. Here we have like an orange tree, and beneath it there's a little walnut tree growing. It's probably an English walnut. They're real big around here. And up here it looks like we might even have a pecan tree. And we got blackberries here. Of course they're a little bit different type of blackberries. But then you turn and then boom, you got agave growing right there. So that's pretty cool. Here's what looks like another big walnut tree. And then right below it here we've got olive trees. Here they got olives on the ground. They're really bitter though. Here's the river. We've got willows growing here. This looks like sand cherry or something. Walnuts growing down there. Here we've got another big bundle of agave and a bunch of olive trees. No. Yeah. Real interesting assortment of rocks around here. We got granite being pushed up. I've seen a little bit of limestone and shale. And there's also some volcanic rock. I'm not sure what this is down here, but you can see it's got a bunch of little weird little pockholes in it, almost like volcanic gas bubbles. Here we have the Mexican elderberry. This here is growing to a height of about 20 feet. It's quite a bit taller. It's actually like a small tree compared to the one in Oklahoma, which is just a shrub. Here at the base of the tree, it looks like we've got a couple little suckers that maybe we can get dug out of there. There we go. It's got some roots attached to it. I think we'll put that in a bag, and hopefully we got 2 elderberry trees. Here around the base, there's also a couple other little suckers. We're going to try to dig those up too, increase our odds. Perfect. Praise the Lord. We'll say a little blessing over these things and pray that they make it back to Oklahoma. We're here at my wife's ancestral home, and we're gonna be taking some cuttings from this trumpet vine here, and maybe a couple other things. There we go, 3 cuttings. We'll soak these in water until they make it home. Got all my cuttings here that I'm gonna take back, and now they just need to be trimmed up a little bit so we're not getting a bunch of dried leaves all over the place. There we go, something like that should suffice. Here we are overlooking the almond orchard. Here's the water retention pond my wife grew up swimming in, and around it there's some periwinkle. Looks quite a bit different from the one I planted. The one I planted didn't really climb up things, and this is climbing to a pretty reasonable height. So let me see if I can dig up a little clump of this stuff. I'm going to try to dig up some of this nettle that's growing underneath this oak tree here without getting stung too bad. Luckily the soil is real sandy here, so it's a lot easier to dig up than it would be in clay. I bless you with health, that you would make it all the way back to Oklahoma. There you would multiply. Bless us with food, medicine, and fiber for generations to come. Now, to prepare my cuttings for transport, I'm simply going to wrap them up in a bunch of these napkins and stick them down in this styrofoam cup and then fill it up with some rainwater. A napkin should absorb the moisture and keep it around the roots while also preventing it from spilling. This is a really old almond tree here. I'm going to see if we can find a place to get some cuttings off of it. I'm going to try to grab a couple hardwood cuttings up here. Well, I could really only reach one easily. It's on a pretty steep slant here, so maybe I'll try a softwood cutting too. Here's a couple almond trees with some more accessible branches. I'll take a couple cuttings from these ones. Here's some old stonework. Not quite dry stacked, but it's still old. Looks like sandstone. Here we have 2 of the probably oldest, but definitely tallest trees in Knight's Ferry, growing here on the Martinelli family ranch. For the surrounding area, you can look at these 2 trees as a landmark, tell exactly where the house is because they're so tall up here on top of this hill. But I'm not sure if this is a ponderosa pine or what, but it's got cones on it, so we're going to collect some, see if we can't get any seedlings going. I'm not sure why, but most of these cones don't have any seeds left in them. I don't know if they've already dropped out or if something came by and ate them. Here's a bunch of black locust, which we do have in Oklahoma, but it seems to be exceptionally beautiful down here, so I'm going to collect some seeds from it. We are entering the foothills here, and we're in Bakersfield. I'm looking over here at this little rest stop garden here, and I think I see a black locust with pink flowers. Pretty, huh? Yeah, these are black locust trees with pink flowers. I don't see any seed pods though. Let's see if I can scout some out. They sure are pretty, but I don't see any seeds. Well, it must be a seedless variety, but it sure is beautiful. We'll have to look that up.